Hey, what's going on? I'm John. I'm a filmmaker based here out of New Hampshire, and today I'm going to be talking about Killer Instinct. If you're new to my channel, I mainly do product reviews, like filmmaking tech type of products, but I also do a little bit of Arcade1Up stuff because I'm a huge Arcade1Up enthusiast. This is my 10th cab, I think. I've got one more coming. Terminator 2 should be here in like middle of February, I think, and I'm really fired up for that one because that was just one of my favorites when I was a kid. But I'm so excited to talk about Killer Instinct because I've been waiting for this thing since I was 14. This game was one of my all-time favorites back in the day. I used to get out of school and walk over to the old mall back in Methuen and go to this place called the Dream Machine. That was the local arcade, and just put quarter after quarter on the screen and just beat the hell out of people back in the day on that. And not for nothing, that's a little bit of rust, but that's still going on a few of the leaderboards right now. So I welcome any challengers. This has been a lot of fun to get back into it. So one of the things I want to talk about today are just some of the pros and cons of this machine. As with anything Arcade1Up makes, there's always a few little nitpicks here and there, but overall, I honestly think this might be one of the best looking things that they've made so far. It really just feels pretty true to the arcade. I was a little unsure how the extended height was going to be on this one. This one is a little bit bigger. As you can see back here with Final Fight and Mortal Kombat 2, those are both Gen 1 cabinets. And it's not much taller, but it does stand up a little higher. But what is taller is the deck height. One of the things I don't like, and it was one of the reasons I didn't pick up the Mortal Kombat 2 Legacy Edition, was the people were talking about the deck sort of being a little higher on one side, so when you rest your hand, you'd bump into the controls and stuff. And I'm feeling the same thing with this one. It's mostly comfortable. It's not the biggest deal, but for some reason, the Mortal Kombat 2 Generation 1 still seems to have the best design for the fighting games, where it overextends, so you're not really hitting your hands on anything. You're just sort of hanging off of it, which is much more comfortable. But with Killer Instinct, I find that the way my hand fits on the joystick into the groove there, I don't know, after a little while it gets a little uncomfortable. It's not the worst thing in the world, but just still, I feel like that's one of those things, especially with the fighting games, that we should have figured out by now. I'm looking forward to the Mortal Kombat 1 Legacy Edition coming up. It seems like it's sort of fixed that altogether with going with more of a traditional arcade style deck. So we'll see how that pans out, but I will be trading in my Gen 1 for that because I've been waiting for a good reason to pick that up, and that new skin looks really great. And as far as any other cons with this machine go, the Marquee isn't the worst. It's not the best. It's a little washed out. I've come to expect that by now. Right? I ordered a piece of vinyl to replace it with. I usually do that with all my light-up Marquees from them. I take the vinyl off of it and then buy a new one and put it over it. But the new one I got didn't really look that great under a light either, so I'm just going to wait. I'm going to be picking up Marquee from Retro 530 once he gets them back in stock for Killer Instinct. I'm really looking forward to trying his stuff out. From what I've seen, they look really nice and don't have any issues with black levels and stuff. But once I pick one up, I'll make another video once I get that installed. So far, like, the control deck and the Marquee are really the only glaring issues, I think. They're not even really glaring issues. They're more nitpicks than anything. But the controls themselves are pretty solid for the most part. I'm finding myself having a harder time doing quarter circle motions. It just doesn't feel right 100% of the time. Like, sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. Like, if I'm trying to do a fireball with Orchid, sometimes it'll just like quick punch hit rather than do a fireball. And the same thing with her backspinning attack. It just doesn't quite, any of the quarter circle motions are a little, I don't know, it just, something feels off. But it's just, again, it's like sometimes, maybe I'm just rusty and I gotta get back into it, but just like some of my initial nitpicks with the game so far as I've played it. But the emulation's awesome. Like, I've been waiting for this for over like 27 years. This game was like my go-to. I mentioned going back to the arcade and just playing this every day. This and Mortal Kombat 2 just every day after school. Just finally getting a chance to see this in an arcade form. Having an arcade version of this, I've always wanted a perfect port of this that felt like the arcade. Back in the day, we were promised the Ultra 64. This would be the first game. Killer Instinct would be the first game on the Ultra 64, and of course that never happened. What we got was the upgraded Killer Instinct Gold, which was just the second one. And the second one's okay. Killer Instinct 2 it's not bad. It's okay, but it's nowhere near as good as this one was. And that was always a disappointment. And I did have the Super Nintendo version of Killer Instinct. I remember like when I was like 14 or 15, and we were supposed to go in to see my grandfather. Like our whole family was taking a trip to North Carolina to see my grandfather, and I I stayed at a friend's house that night, and like had his brother take me to go pick up my pre-order of Killer Instinct for Super Nintendo and a brand new arcade stick, and I brought all that with me to North Carolina. I just played that the whole time. So I've been obsessed with this game forever, and it's so much fun to be able to play it in an actual real arcade experience. I want to show you guys a quick put together of it. I'm just going to speed up some footage and just show you some of the things I do whenever I get a new setup. I usually don't keep the stools. I decided to keep the stool for this one. The stool is pretty cool, nice and comfortable, and feels sturdy. One of the other things I always do when I build a new cabinet is I've never been a fan of how they put either the game list or like a logo on the front panel. It always just looks weird to me, so I always order just either a piece of plain black vinyl to cover over it or some other design. But with this one, since the cabinet is mostly black, I just went for all black. So I took the Arcade1Up coin door that came off of it, because I always use another person. Put a link in his Etsy shop below. The dude does great work, and he does these really cool 3D printed ones, and they come, you can light them up. So I just wanted to show you guys some of the processes of what I actually do, like by taking the vinyl over there, making the measurements, and drilling holes into the wood so that you can fit everything on there. It's kind of a process, but I think it makes it look way cooler. The online has been pretty great so far. I did have a match where I was fighting someone and it lagged out on me, and the next thing I knew, like half my health was gone. That was kind of weird, but that was only been one match out of the few dozen that I've played so far. But everything seems to be really great for that. I know a lot of people are concerned about the spectator mode, how it doesn't have a spectator mode. Personally, it's not something I care about. So it doesn't bother me, but hopefully that's something that gets fixed in a patch for the people who do care about it. I really feel like this is well worth the wait. This is something I've always wanted. It plays great. It looks great. These monitors they've been using look really great, and some people had suggested using scan lines for this game, and I totally agree. Scan lines are never usually something I use with the older game. I always just like the way they look. I think it looks cool, like when they're crisp and stuff. But this really does look. It actually looks like an old CRT monitor if you use the scan lines for it. So I highly recommend checking that out. It looks really awesome, especially with this game, because it's an older game, and the graphics aren't as cutting edge as they used to be. So the CRT look hides a little bit of the hurt there. But overall, it plays great. It sounds great. One of the reasons I didn't cancel my pre-order for this to get the Pro Line Edition. I know that's a whole other thing. People are talking about the Pro Line Edition. Here's my take on that is I'm really excited there's going to be a Pro Line Edition coming out. I think that if I was just getting into these, it's something I would jump on immediately. But since I've already got like 10 other cabinets, I'm just like too late into the game, especially with all the customizing I've done. I add coin doors and vinyl and stuff and light up marquees for all of these. So I'm already like a couple $100 each cabinet into upgrades. So it's just not worth it to sell them all and go for a Pro Line. And I also don't think that the new Pro Line Killer Instinct looks as good as this one. I'm not a fan of like the chrome molding they put on it. And I don't know. I don't think it looks as good visually. I'm not as big a fan of the design. And with how taller this one is and the deck height, I think this thing's great. But again, if you're just getting into these and you want something that's a little bit more arcade size and with a bigger screen and stuff, I think that's awesome. I just wish that it's something that came out a couple years ago when I got started rather than now, and I'm just too far into the game. But aside from that, I really can't say enough great things about this. I was just so giddy playing this. Like, this was something I've been wanting for more than half of my life now. So being able to play this and being able to play this against random people online is super fun. Again, I'm climbing those leaderboards. I'm number one in a few of them, so I really want to see some competition out there. I always leave mine open, so anyone who wants to jump in a game and go toe-to-toe, I'm excited to. It's a lot of fun. So if this is your first time to the channel, please subscribe. I do plan on putting out more content as the year goes on, product reviews for filming equipment and just electronics in general. A lot of this stuff that I use on a day-to-day basis, and Arcade1Up stuff, of course. So thanks for checking it out, guys, and I hope you enjoy your Killer Instinct cabinets as much as I am, and I hope we get a chance to go toe-to-toe on the digital battlegrounds. Take care.